Hey all, welcome to Circle of Tone, and today we're going to check out my attempt at recreating the mighty, chaotic, but controlled violence that is Exodus. And this one, by far the most fun that I had doing out of these challenges. Despite the fact that I messed up and had to re-record all the guitars. I was like, okay, let's do it because it's just so much fun. So what did I do? I get to the music very soon, but I did things like I used the same amp that he used with the same mod that hardly anybody knows about, and I used the same pickup, I used the same style of guitar, and I pretty much had all of my ducks in a row on this one. And there's a slight change to this one, but I'll go into more detail after the song. And so huge respect to Exodus, love them so much. And so check it out if you like these types of videos, and please subscribe. There's a bell that you can click on that gives you early notifications when I upload these types of videos. And yeah, on to the music. Hope you enjoy. And we're back. So that was Exodus, and I enjoyed that. I'm not sure if you could see it, but it's even doing the playback. I have to kind of record it, pretend I'm playing again because I'm not. I loved it. It's just the tone. The tone was something that I chased for so long, and I am so lucky. I don't know how it happens, but sometimes when you're passionate about something, like I am with Bay Area thrash, somehow your circles just collide with other like-minded people. When you're passionate about something, I don't know how it happens, but I ended up having which is one of the most revered amps that you can get in the world when it comes to thrash metal. And that is the Todd Langner modded Marshall. And this is it right here. It's this beast. So, actually it's this one. They look the same because they're 4 holders. Inside, I know this all looks new, but inside there is all new old stock. So everything from the cables to the capacitors to the resistors, they're all from that era. And the mod is Todd didn't do it himself, but a friend of mine recreated the mod who owns a lot of his amps. One rule on this one: do not ask me for a Kemper this amp. Don't ask me where can I get the mod, where can I get this and that. I share so much with you guys. This one is it's mine. It's like I've been sworn to secrecy. I can't tell you how I got it, who got it for me, who built it, all that type of thing. He doesn't build amps, he's just a genius that I know, okay? So don't ask me to Kemper it, all that good stuff. This is, you know, it's actually been tweaked to my style as well. So I can have it on the regular wide open Todd mode, and I've also got a couple of options where I can get my own style. This is my style through the same amp, through, you know, a P90 right here. So that is, you know, my sound, you know, when I put my smell on top of it. So yeah, Todd Langner, he was a guy in the 80s, maybe late 70s, 80s, I'm not sure the exact dates. But somehow his mods got a reputation amongst all the Bay Area thrash guys. So he only did a handful of amps, and the ones that he did have are just legendary. And as you can hear, the tone, this amp was his amp, which he, Gary, the guitar player of Exodus, he claims that his Langner was the best that he ever made. And the funny thing is, with other Langner amp owners, they always claim that, oh, theirs is the best. But, you know, I kind of believe it when it comes to him, because it was the Tempo of the Damned amp. And you know how good the Scar Spangled Banner and all that sounded. So that was that amp. And what is a nightmare is he got the amp started messing up a little bit for him, and he got it recapped, and he totally changed the voice of the amp. So that's why when I recreated it, I made sure that I had all the old stock stuff. So just as a, you know, maybe if Gary stumbles across this video, there might be, you know, something that you can do to resurrect the one that you have if you use new old stock parts that he would have used at the time. Because basically what he did, he just went, Todd Langner, he didn't do any magic or fairy dust. Just at the time, the components were all, you know, American made, and you got them at Radio Shack, you know, and the components were just better back then. So, but, you know, compared to the new modern, everything's made in China with tiny thin legs and, you know, crappy pot metal, and it's just not as conductive, not as a lot of the stuff was illegal as well, with the lead and all the rest of it. But I'm babbling on now about a goddamn modern amp. I know this is like nerding underneath Nerd Valley right now, but I'm getting carried away. I'm passionate about this. So yeah, the Todd Langner modded Marshall was the Bay Area thrash amp. I mean, they all had one. I said all the ones that, you know, kicked ass. And yeah, so that it's not just that though. What else did I do? Basically, Andy Sneap recorded a lot of their best tones, and I was a huge Andy Sneap fan. This is how far back I go with Andy Sneap. I purchased the first record that they ever had out. It used to be in a band called Sabbath. Before Sabbath, I think it was as they were getting signed, they had a flexi disc out on the front of a magazine called White Dwarf. And I bought that because a friend of mine told me, you have to listen to this band Sabbath. They're absolutely ridiculous. I've never heard anything like it. So I listened to it, and it's stunning. It's called Blood for the Blood God. I can still remember, and I haven't even like played that song forever. I'll have to YouTube that now. And that got me. I was like, holy crap, I've never heard guitars like that. I've never heard such chaos, but controlled chaos. So Andy Sneap then went on to be the best metal producer, one of the best. There's Colin, I think, him and they're up there together. But so and what I like about Andy Sneap is that he's learned from his mistakes. Because with Sabbath, there was the album, the first 2 albums were amazing, and then the third one, where he kind of took control of, and got rid of the singer and got rid of some of the other guys, the bass player. And the album was called Morning Has Broken, I think it was, and it was terrible. Actually good songs, but there was too much balance. The singer was actually good if you like the power metal vocals, but he didn't stop singing through the whole thing, and it was too much warble, and it was just weird guitar tone. The guitar tone was bad even for me, and I actually gravitate towards nasty sounding stuff. It was just off. The recording was terrible. So he disappeared, and then I didn't really think about it. I didn't think about, I still listened to the albums and everything. And then Andy Sneap popped up I was obsessed with Forbidden, and I was wondering what Tim Calvert was doing, the guitarist. So I googled it. This is dial-up days. And I googled an album called, I googled a song that he was on from another band that I'd never heard of called Nevermore. And so I downloaded the song Narcosynthesis. And my hair got blown back. I was like, what? This band is amazing. Technical, vocals are awesome. I actually don't mind clean vocals. So I'm researching this, and who did this? And it was Andy Sneap. And I was like, the Andy Sneap? I didn't even know he was a producer back then. And he produced this stunning album, which, in my opinion, Narcosynthesis era, Nevermore, that started the modern trend where everybody started copying Andy Sneap. They copied his mic techniques, forums sprung up about him, and everyone was obsessed about how does he do it, how does he get the drum so tight. And, it turns out it's... and he did the Testament stuff, and that was tight as hell, and everyone's like, what the hell? And then there was the backlash. A lot of the metal production started sounding the same, largely in part because everybody was trying to copy Andy Sneap, so he became a victim of his own success. So now, I admit it myself that I'm not the biggest fan of all of his work, because his signature sound now just reminds me of what is kind of missing with the drum replacement, and everything's snapped to a grid, and the guitars are huge, and the bass now is kind of an afterthought. And that's, I'm going away from my Exodus, but we talked about the production, right? So, what did I do when it comes to Andy Sneap? He's a big fan of vintage 30s, and so obviously I hook up. He uses an SM57 mic on vintage 30 Celestians, and he has a certain mic technique which I copied, and also obviously I used my Langner, and I used the guitar. I didn't use what he used on the album where he did use the Langner. He used, believe it or not, which is crazy, that album with Star Spangled Banner and everything on it, and he's an EMG HZ, like the worst pickup. It's low, but what the key is, it's low output, because this thing is a fire breather. If you put an EMG in front of that, it's just gain on gain, and it's going to be mush. But because the key was the low output pickups, I've learned that if you take anything from my videos, right, don't buy high output pickups. Don't buy active pickups. Get something which is about 7.9 to 8.5k output on the bridge pickup. You'll thank me for it. Your high gain amp with low output pickups is the way to go. Or a low gain amp with a TS9 and low output pickups, that is the way to go. I'm thinking of bringing out my own pickup. Thinking quite seriously about it. Okay, blah blah blah. So I record all the guitars, and I'm thinking, this sounds great, but it doesn't sound like Exodus. I was like, what's wrong? So I went onto Andy Sneap's forum, and he recorded that damn album with Celestian 75s. Tent with the Damned was, everybody complains about those because they're scooped. They're not scooped. It's just forum idiots. And they are idiots, because the 75s are some of the best speakers that you can get. My main cabinet, my pristine one that I spent lots of money on, that is handcrafted for me, has two 75s in it. That's how much I know how good they sound. If you mic, they're hard to mic up. It is hard, because there's a whistling type of high end that you can get, which is hard to EQ out. You just got to try and just got to stick with it. So I had to re-record everything with 75s, with G12 what was it, G12T-75s or whatever they were called, Celestians. And then it was like, boom, there it is. There's the EXODUS sound. But I mentioned the EMGs, the crappy and the cheap EMGs. I didn't have them. But what I do have is something that's better, in my opinion. Gary's other pickup that he uses a lot, which is Custom Shop Seymour Duncan Custom. It's the custom. It's the Seymour Duncan custom pickup. So it's not like a custom pickup. It's called the custom. So I got a Custom Shop Custom, which means that the custom shop wound the custom. I've said custom so often it's lost all meaning now. But anyway, so I used the pickup that he's famous for on, his older EXODUS stuff. You might notice now that Like Father Like Son, the song that I recorded, isn't on Temple of the Damned. And there's a reason for that. I just love playing that song. It's the song, when I pick up my guitar, if I'm trying out something to see if an amp is bitching or whatever, that's the riff that I play. And I'm not even sure if I'm playing it right, but it feels right. So that's what I went with. So I went with the amp gear setup that was on Temple of the Damned, which is, in my opinion, still the best sounding EXODUS album. But, I did the earlier album's song on it. So that's kind of cheating, but, I'm going to be me. Alright, so what else did I do? Let's see, with the bass guitar. In my opinion, the best thing about modern EXODUS is Jack Gibson's bass sound. The new bass player, he's been there for like, a decade. His bass sound is bitchin'. It's that clanky, almost even overkill-y type sounding clank, but it's got more of the fundamental bass sound than, it's not full out clank. So I did spend a lot more time on the bass than I did on the guitar. With that, I ended up going through a tube amp, through a Marshall, through a Vintage 30, ironically. I've recorded bass through a Vintage 30 speaker with this Thunderbird. So I did I went through my bass collection, which isn't that big. It's like two guitars. And this is the one that I could get the clankiness with, because it has a little bit of tweakability on the guitar itself. So that was the bass. He also used, Andy Sneap also blends in usually a Sans amp DI as well. So I did that as well, just to get a bit more of the grit that comes with Andy Sneap. Andy Sneap does something very specific with bass, and everybody copies him. So I went that direction a little bit to try and copy, because I didn't have the right, bass that Jack uses and all the rest of it. So I tried to guess, but there aren't many EXODUS songs where there's just bass playing. So that was a challenge. And I think I got there. The drum kits, luckily for me, Andy Sneap has an Easy Drummer pack where you can use all of his kits. So that's very cool. It was a case of using Andy Sneap's drum pack. So then I tried to listen to the songs, and actually match the drum hits and tune the pitch and things like that, so it sounded like an EXODUS kit. Man, that drummer, EXODUS drummer, just ridiculously good. The flickety flams and stuff he does, it's just so good. I don't know how he does it. And speaking of drums, shout out to whatever guy out there that moused in all of those drums. I got that drum track from a MIDI file. You search MIDI files, and God, did those drums spot on or what? So some guy, I tried to look at the file to see if I could find his name so I could shout out and contact him. But hats off to him, man. He's like me, where you get obsessed about things, and he was like, oh no, every single drum roll has to be in place, and he moused that shit in like a champ. That's what you get with the thrash people. They take care of each other, you know, it's a community, and they know what's important. So that's it. Is there anything else? Yeah, the boards that Andy Sneap used. He uses a specific board, an SSL board, and I have SSL emulating software in my DAW, which is the software that I used to record with. So I tried to put that on there to give it a little bit of colour. And anything else? Yeah, it's just that's it, man. Those are the days, the thrash days. It's I love Zetro. Zetro is my favourite Exodus singer. I know that's like sacrilege, but yeah, Zetro was my favourite. And with Dukes is an awesome guy, right? But the difference, I think he didn't quite get it. Dukes is more hardcore. When I was watching him live, Dukes was like, yeah, you know, I wanted to get in there and kill each other and, you know, break somebody's face. I'm like, that's hardcore. That's thrash, is get in there and get, you know, physical. But it's more of a family thing, where you get in there and you get fucked up and you fuck other people up, but you don't go in there intentionally trying to fuck someone up. It's just they get in your way. So that, I think that's why Dukes didn't work out. He was too hardcore in his approach. With Exodus, it's good, friendly, violent fun. It's not fucking just get in there and be violent, you know what I mean? So I think that was a bit of, you know, I think he was a bit too intense. Which is surprising, but you know, it's all about genres, and it's all about the small details, the difference between, you know, factions. I think he was a poor fit, just from not because he had the vocals, he had the, you know, the presence. Just don't think he got it. You know, I don't think he got the Exodus. You know, because they're just, the lyrics are tongue in cheek. You know, everything is kind of impish about them, and they're intelligent guys, but they just do dumb, you know, dumb songs just because it's just a bit of fun. You know, they don't take themselves too seriously. I think Dukes took himself a bit too seriously, and Bailoff was just an absolute force of nature. I wish I could have seen him live with him, and just for the, you know, the chaos that man brought. But you know, when it comes to thrash, I appreciate the late 80s where it started to get a bit more technical. That's what I gravitated towards, and he was more the punk side of it. And I didn't gravitate towards the punk influence as much as a lot of other people do. So, you know, all respect to him, you know, rest in peace. But Zetro's the guy for me, even though it's not a competition. It's just, you know, we're just talking about thrash, right? So that's it. Did you like what you heard? If you want any of the inside details, like specifically what drums I used, you know, just ask it in the comments. If you want any, if you just want to talk about Exodus, you know, when you saw them live, or if you have any inside information about the gear that they used. I actually know what gear he used on the previous album, and that is a shocker, but I'm kind of sworn to secrecy on that because Gary told a friend of mine. It might have been in confidence, so I don't want to like spill the beans on someone's, you know, signature sound. But this, you know, the Todd modded Langner, he actually told me on a forum. This is how cool Gary is. He went to a forum which has about 2,000 subscribers on it, a thrash forum, and he said, "Hey, what's up?" And everyone's like, "What?" And I was like, "What amps did you use?" And he was like, this and that. Even though I kind of knew, I was like, my question was, "Why aren't you using it anymore?" And then he told me the story about the caps and, you know, getting it fixed and how it ruined the sound and that type of thing. So yeah, shame, man. He needs to get that amp up and running. I've heard stories about Andy Sneap pumping his leg for that thing. So yeah, respect to that Exodus, respect to Andy Sneap. You know, what can I say? Exodus, thrash, just the whole thrash thing in general. There's going to be more coming. I've done a Celtic Frost secret video in the past, which is just really rough, if you want to check that out. But I think I need to do that more justice. I think I need to get a bit more deeper and, you know, try and do a decent song like these with the full backing tracks. So yeah, if you like this, I've done Metallica ones, I've done Alice in Chains ones, I've done In Excess, believe it or not. And I'm going to slow down for the thrash, you know, I'm not going to be thrash, but I'm probably going to edge towards that because that's my first love. So I've been Owen with Circle of Tone. Please subscribe, please share if you know Exodus fans, and have a good one.